Hey there guys, what's going on? In today's best class setups in Warzone series, we're back with another big one here today. We're taking a look at one of the all-time best weapons in Modern Warfare, the M4A1. This weapon is absolutely overpowered, and as we discussed in a video yesterday, does excellent damage, has a great fire rate and little recoil, and is an assault rifle that performs as well in Warzone as it does in multiplayer. With the latest patch, if you do manage to make your way to $8,500 and you do get a loadout drop, you can equip one of your preset loadouts, which I think is an appropriate amount of cash for the reward. So with this overpowered Warzone class that I've put together here, you'll be able to dominate in the Warzone as normally with these classes. We've of course got two weapons, the best perks and lethal and tactical for Warzone here. We'll keep the Warzone content as long as you guys do want to watch it, but just before we do get into this overpowered M4 class setup here, let's try and get this video to a huge 15 likes. Not asked for anything that large before, but I believe we can do it with the support on the videos from you guys recently. It's been continued to be fantastic. So a massive thank you to everyone for liking, subscribing, and commenting on all of the videos. I've got loads of them lined up while you're still stuck inside with the quarantine at the moment. So make sure you do subscribe with those notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. We very recently hit 700 subscribers and we are on the road towards 800 now, which is absolutely insane. So let's talk about this overpowered M4 Warzone class. Alright, so as I said, and you know this already, the M4A1 is one of my favourite weapons in regular multiplayer, and it's also one of the best in Warzone as well. A hard-hitting, low recoil assault rifle with excellent range is always going to perform quite well, especially when you can back it up with a sniper to cover off those longer distances. With this class, you'll be set for the majority of pretty much any engagement, so of course we're basing this class around the M4. We are also bringing along the Kar98k, but the HDR and AX50 are also excellent options. I just want to fill this in here. Basically, I did say in the last couple of Warzone videos that the Kar98k can't actually one-shot headshot, but apparently it can. I think the headshot values are exactly the same as they are in multiplayer. So if you do land that headshot, you will be able to down someone. So I was wrong there. So let's jump into this class setup now with all of the attachments and weapons and everything. So we'll start off with our perks and grenade choices here. They'll be fairly similar on most of my Warzone class setups unless balance changes do occur. Perk 1, normally you'd have a couple of options, but here, because of the prevalence of thermal snipers in this game, I think you pretty much need cold-blooded at the moment. With this, we become undetectable by AI targeting systems and thermal optics, does also not trigger the high alert warning. Of course, the most important feature of cold-blooded is the thermal optic bonus. I mean, you're definitely still visible on a thermal scope, you're just a little bit harder to see than someone who doesn't have this on. With cold-blooded, sniping is also a lot easier because you won't be spotted immediately. Perk 2 for this class setup, we've got really only one option here. This is overkill, of course, because I think having two very powerful weapons is way stronger than any of the other available options. Sure, I'd really enjoy to pick Ghost as well, just to stay off that radar, but I feel like we do way more work and the game is way more fun when we've got two insane primaries. Perk 3 is a little more open-ended here, and you can pretty much choose whatever you do like, and it sort of depends on what game mode you're playing as well. I normally do Rock Tracker just so I can see those enemy footsteps and death markers. Tune-Up is also a nice option here just to get that revive time reduced by 25% if you're playing in a squad. That's really, really strong as well. But again, all these do a specific job in a specific way and are quite powerful in their own right, so you can sort of pick what you like the look of here. The lethal slot, in my opinion, isn't actually super important. Like, you can start off with a good option and then sort of work your way through whatever you do find on the battlefield. Maybe like a Molotov cocktail is always going to be a pretty good option. Even a C4, if you come across a couple of enemies, you chuck it at them, you might down a lot of them at the same time. So again, all of these different options, the proximity mine and claymore, are particularly good at sort of covering a little building or a doorway that you're trying to hide in. So they're all very, very good options and they do perfectly fine at whatever you want them to do, so you can sort of find most of these on the battlefield, so whatever you pick here isn't super important. But the heartbeat sensor in the tactical slot is sort of one that is kind of necessary at the moment. Like a tablet that displays rough information about nearby enemies. Basically, if they're within 40 meters of you and they don't have Ghost on, you'll be able to detect them when they're near you, and that's obviously super powerful. This will stop you dying in a dumb way majority of the time. You just pull out the heartbeat sensor, have a look and see if there's anybody nearby without Ghost, and you're pretty much spot on. The heartbeat sensor, as I said, is counted by Ghost, but in theory, at least one member of the enemy team who is camping in the building you're trying to go in won't have Ghost on. So we are going to look at the M4 setup first here, and we're going to run through the attachments with a bit of explain. First, we do have the muzzle slot on the M4, and you're pretty much required to run the monolithic suppressor in this game. Damage range and sound suppression are very powerful in Warzone, of course. The sound suppression does make it a little bit more difficult for enemies to track you down when you're shooting, and the extended damage range is super strong for taking out targets that are slightly further away. This is a great option for pretty much every weapon in Warzone, and I recommend that you take it if possible on any class that you can. It really is super strong. So of course in the muzzle slot we've got the monolithic suppressor, and that's our first attachment for this overpowered M4 Warzone class. Secondly, in the barrel slot we've got two options that do both very similar things. You can choose between the stock M16 Grenadier and the Corvus Custom Marksman. Both of these do give us a huge boost to our damage range, bullet velocity and recoil control, while reducing our aim down sight speed and movement speed in varying amounts. With the map being much larger than anything in multiplayer, we want as much damage range as possible. You want to be hitting those shots at sometimes 50 meters plus, and getting that extra damage at your maximum range is super important. There are only slight differences between these two barrels. The stock M16 Grenadier is more focused on effectiveness at range, and the Corvus Custom Marksman is more mobile. These are the most powerful barrels for the M4, and on my class I'm rocking the stock M16 Grenadier for the increased range effectiveness, and that's the second attachment for this overpowered M4 class. Next we've got, in my opinion, what is a very underrated attachment in this game. In the underbarrel slot we've got the Commando foregrip. With this we get recoil stabilization and aiming stability. These stats help with the horizontal recoil of the M4 and help make us really accurate. Similar to the recoil bonuses that we do get from the stock M16 Grenadier barrel, this does help us fight at those longer ranges and will be able to help us pick off targets that aren't far enough away to warrant pulling out our Kar98k. Not much else to say here, really. This attachment does help us stay on target and is somehow still underrated in this game. You can put this on pretty much any weapon in the game and you will perform way better, especially if the weapon is heavy on the horizontal recoil side. So again, in the underbarrel slot we've got the Commando foregrip, and that's the third attachment for this M4 class. Next, in the ammo slot we've got a big boy here. We've got these 60 round mags. This is a very simple attachment. Having 60 bullets in Warzone is super strong. People can of course take like 5 to 8 shots to kill sometimes, so if you do come across an enemy squad with only 30 bullets, you are going to struggle sometimes if you are forced to reload. While you're reloading, they can pretty much just push up on you and you'll be straight back to the gulag, which I mean can sometimes be beneficial for you, like taking a different spot or taking like a high ground with the parachute can be really powerful, but no one really wants to die in the Warzone. Plus, we don't really care too much about the negative speed aspects that we do get here. This is easily coverable by our other attachments. It's a really simple choice here, and that's why we've included it as the fourth attachment in our Warzone class. And lastly, we are going to go with the stock slot. We'd normally use the stipple grip tape in the rear grip slot, but here we're going to go with the no stock option in the stock slot, of course, for the boost to our movement speed and aim down sight speed. This allows us to be very aggressive and sort of way more powerful and more effective at moving across the map, and is also a fantastic option in multiplayer. This also does help counter the negative stats that we do pick up from some of our other attachments and help balance out this weapon very nicely. There isn't really much else to say here, really. These stats are super valuable for the M4 and are some of the best that you can get for this class setup, and that's why I've picked it in the last slot here. This is the full class setup for the M4 at the moment. We're going to flash this up again just in case you missed it, and we're going to move on to our sniper class as well here. Of course, you can swap out some of these attachments if you do prefer. In my opinion, there is always an argument to be made for the tack laser over like the no stock, or an optic over either of these two options. Like, you've got a variety of options with this class, but I wouldn't recommend taking off the barrel suppressor or the Commando foregrip, as they're pretty much crucial in making this weapon very effective. Next, we're going to take a look at our second weapon here, and it's the other star of the show. Normally, we'd use either the HDR or the AX50 in this slot, as they both have a one-shot headshot in Warzone. But today we are, of course, looking at the Kar98k, as I recently discovered in my last few Warzone videos. I was actually wrong about the one-shot headshot capability of this weapon, so we're using that in this overpowered class instead, and it is an absolute beast as well. Our first attachment, as usual, is the monolithic suppressor. With this, we do get sound suppression and a boost to our damage range. In multiplayer, this would be a bit of a sin, but in Warzone, having a silent sniper with boosted range is incredibly powerful, especially with the other attachments that we've chosen here, which we'll talk about in a minute. When you're fighting with this sniper in Warzone, like, it just feels like you're playing a different game. Some people can't even see you, and then you just, like Sniper Elite, you just pick people off from so far away that it almost feels unfair. So in the first slot, we've got the monolithic suppressor for this overpowered class setup. Next, in the barrel slot, we do have the SynGuard custom 27.6 inch barrel for the increased damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. This is another one of those really powerful options to increase our range and make our shots hit the target faster, and it also makes the second or third shots even easier to hit. I mean, with this particular rifle, it's a bolt action, so the second shot's not going to happen too quickly, but the recoil control is still going to be a little bit of a factor. The SynGuard custom 25.1 inch is also a super strong option as well, just in case you don't unlock the largest barrel option. You do still have to deal with the negatives of having aim down sight speed and movement speed minuses, but our other attachments do help counter this, but it's still going to be slower than your typical quickscoping class. But as far as sniping goes, this is the perfect second attachment in Warzone and one of the best attachments in this class setup. For the optic slot, you've really got not too much choice here. We don't really have a perfect thermal sniper scope on this. We do only have a 3.25 times option. It's just one that doesn't really zoom a great deal, but it's still usable. But here I'm just rocking the plain old sniper scope. Even regular sniping in Warzone is super fun in this game, and it's just a little less effective than seeing bright white outlines on your screen. It does make us aim down sights slightly slower, but it's not too much of a factor when you're just picking people off for fun, as they have no idea where they're being shot from. One of the best attachments for this class, as it allows us to do our actual job of sniping. Definitely a perfect third attachment for this class setup. Next, in the stock slot, we've got the FTAC Sport Comb. This does give us a boost to our aim down sights, but boy do we need it here. With other attachment options that we've chosen, we are very sluggish in terms of handling, so we do of course need this. It really does help us get those sights up very quickly and start picking people off. And again, when we're set up, we are very powerful here. It almost feels like that campaign mission with the HDR, like Hadir's like arm thing, that sniper in the campaign where you're just picking people off and you can't really do anything about it. Like, you just shoot them and that's it, like, job done. Aim at the head and you drop people very quickly, instantly even, with a one-shot headshot. It's very satisfying and basically overpowered, and as long as you can snipe in Warzone, we are going to use this one. Perfect fourth option for this overpowered class. And lastly, you know what we're about to say here, and is a huge boost for this class, the stippled grip tape. You know what this does and you know why we need it. Aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed, same as the stock slot. Boost to our handling after having 3 attachments that do slow us down is really important. Again, help us get those sights up and shots on target, which is a super powerful last slot option in this class setup. Right, so this is everything that we do have in this overpowered class. I'll flash everything up on the screen again. This is the M4 build that we do have with all the attachments here. This is what we got, and it is a very balanced, very effective class setup in this game, and this is the Kar98 class that we do have here. Also very effective and one of the best ones in the game at the moment. It would still be interesting to see if we are going to be getting separate balance changes between multiplayer and Warzone, because having thermal snipers completely dominate the game might get stale pretty quickly. Also, I think there's a little bit of a cheater problem at the moment, so hopefully they are working towards sort of getting that under control, because it is a free game with lots of hackers. That's just not ideal. This is one of the best class setups in Warzone at the moment, of course. Try this out and you'll end up getting very close to those wins, I promise. I've got only 1 win at the moment because I'm a little bit of a bot, but I did come close again the other day. I had 4th place with 16 kills. Thank you very much for watching this one, guys. I do appreciate it, and this is another one of these longer class setup videos, but I feel like it's good to get more of these Warzone classes out there. If you guys did enjoy this one, make sure you do let me know by leaving a like, and do subscribe if you are new around here, of course, so you don't miss out on any of these class setups. We are, of course, now working our way towards 800 subscribers, which is absolutely insane to me, so thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye!